I guess we need an intro.
Hey, what's good, guys? Hope you're good. Welcome back to the Entrepreneur 360 podcast. Solo episode today. Want to share something with you guys, a bit of a life milestone, lesson, whatever you want to call it, that I've been figuring out for myself over the last few years, last few months, actually. And I thought it would be good to share on here. I think it's something that I've been struggling with, and something that I feel like a lot of people I've been running into and chatting to are struggling with, and hopefully this helps. Um, Basically, as the name suggests, of the podcast suggests, I want to discuss the concept of sacrifice. It actually came to me initially about leaving stuff behind. So, what are the things that we need to leave behind us that are holding us back from moving on? Kind of came to me, as most things do, listening to some good music at a festival, on a dance floor. Was actually just after a good meditation session and a good yoga session. And, obviously I find that practicing those sort of mindfulness, deep breathing techniques, they do the same thing to us that drugs do. So if you haven't yet started doing meditation, um, or yoga or breath work or things like that, I highly encourage it, because you don't need all those other things actually if you're doing um, those natural sort of neurotransmitter releasing things, dopamine, serotonin, endorphins. These things do the same thing for us. Dopamine being, pleasure and reward. We can get that from mindfulness, from breath work, from meditation. Serotonin, mood regulation. Hey, there's nothing better than a good meditation session if you are in the wrong mood, or not in the right mood. And endorphins, obviously, natural pain relievers. You'd be surprised the power that the brain has. And I think that that's sort of where this came to me, as I was going through a very good, after a very good session. Um, Started to think about my life and like where I was getting stuck. I wasn't deliberately forcing myself to think about anything. It just kind of came to me, and that's what I love about those sorts of sessions, and those sorts of environments, is often you just have to let your mind stop thinking, stop trying so hard, and your brain and your mind will take you to the places that you need to go to in order to figure your stuff out. So I was at a stage where I won't say I was stuck, but I wasn't moving forward. And the last year and a half of my life has been very much about progress, moving forward, new projects, getting things done, action, not motion, um, and just achievement. I wanted to get things done. I wanted to move things along and that sort of thing. And I was at a stage where I kind of felt a little bit stuck, and I started asking myself, why am I stuck? What do I need to leave behind me? What do I need to sacrifice in order to move myself forward? Um, the actual definition of sacrifice being, to basically give up something for the good of something else. For us to actually walk away from something that is in our lives, but isn't actually serving us anymore, and move on to something that we need to move on to, that is not being moved on to because we are too busy doing something else. And that, for me, a lot of that comes into the world of comfort. I've spoken a lot about comfort and discomfort, and being comfortable in the uncomfortable, something that's been served me really well, and something that I really, as I said, like, want to share today, about moving on and getting rid of the things that are not serving us, that are not good for us. Um, why the first thing, like, as I sat down to put this podcast together, was the question of why. Like, yes, you may feel like you need to sacrifice things, you may feel like you need to move away from things, and I'll talk about what I'm referring to specifically in your life, in my life. But why should we need to move away from it, and why is it important? So the main reason, and this is a real lesson for me to learn, was we actually only have finite abilities. We only have finite brain power. We only have finite time. We only have finite focus. We only have finite money. We only have so much that we can actually afford to spend on our activities, or on the things in our lives, or on the time in our lives. We only have so much of it. So we can only do so many things. We can only achieve so much. We can only do so many things. And we can't, if we're doing something that's not achieving what we want, the goals that we want to achieve, then it's taking it away from our abilities to achieve those goals. So if you fill your life full of stuff that's just not serving you, it's taking up space, and it's taking up mind power, and it's taking up attention, um, away from the things that could be serving you. It could be a meaningful relationship. It could be having a kid. It could be moving from one home environment to another home environment. Um, Speaking of that, I mean, what does this actually look like practically? Could be talking about a relationship that you're in. I've made no qualms about my history in this podcast about where I came from, my long-term relationship that I was with someone for very many years, very close, best friend of mine. Absolutely loved her to bits, but you know, the relationship reached a point for both of us where it just wasn't serving us anymore, and we made a tough call, and we called it, and we've both moved on to new things. Um, it could be a habit. This is a tough one. I'm speaking to a lot of people at the moment who are at this stage of winter. I find it's quite common and quite popular to take a break from the drinking, take a break from the drugs, take a break from people trying to give up smoking, trying to give up vaping, trying to give up all these things. I find it's quite a popular time to do it because it's quieter. There's a lot less parties, lot less activities going on, but it's not an easy thing to do. Those sort of physical addiction habits are very hard for us to give up. They're very hard for us to sacrifice, but we often know that we need to sacrifice it. The problem with that is those things have us caught. They have their hooks in us. They have us addicted. Neurologically, physiologically, we are addicted to that stuff. So it's much harder, I feel, to give those things up. So anybody who is giving that stuff up at the moment, anybody who is walking away from that, very proud of you. And keep going, keep doing it. We'll talk a little bit today about what you're actually doing as you do that. Um, it could be, as I said, a living situation, where you're living, the home you're in. Maybe you want to purchase a home. Maybe you want to move out the place you're in. But do you love where you're at, but you need to move on to something else? Perfect situation with me. I'm looking for a place to move out and buy a house and all that. I love where I'm at, but I've got to move on. I've got to move out of where I'm at. It could be a business. This was a really interesting one. I haven't spoken much about this, but when I got back from America in 2024, um, I was going to start a business, a food business. And I know for a fact that I would have rocked the hell out of this business. I'm very good with food. I love food, very passionate about it. I'm very good with it. I could have made really, really good go of a food business. But I had other businesses and other ideas that I wanted to do as well. And I had to walk away from the food business and say, hey man, maybe one day when I'm older, once I've retired or something like that, I can start a food business or something. I know I'll love that life, but it just wasn't the right thing. I had to sacrifice that. And it was really, really tough. And every day I think about it because I know how good I would be at it. But, there's only so much you can do. You've only got so much finite focus, finite time, finite effort, finite money. So I had to walk away from that very, very, very tough situation. Could also be a partnership in business. I made no qualms about the fact that charity is a very big part of my life and something that I'm pushing at the moment, a charity project. And I had a partner who I thought was a no-brainer in the charity project up until the last month or so, where I actually had to very, very critically look at that partnership and actually decide, is this the right partner for me? It makes sense on paper. This partner looks like they're the right person for me. But after really critically looking at it and looking at the achievements that we've made so far and how far we've pushed and how hard we're pushing and what we both want and what are both of our perceptions of the project and where we want to go with it is, realize it's not the right partner for me. I had to sacrifice that relationship slightly, still connected with them, but I had to change the way that I'm engaging with that person and sacrifice it because it's just not the right format for this project. And I could get a better result going, and they could also get a better result going in a different direction. So we've made that decision. And of course, it could be, I know for me, sports is quite a big thing. It could be an activity. I struggle quite a lot. Everybody knows I love running, but I've realized also that my physical goals, my body goals, running doesn't actually match those goals. So I've had to cut back on running. I've had to sacrifice running, which is really tough for me because I love nothing more than to run the streets with a loudspeaker on my hip and just make a big noise. But I've had to sacrifice some of that and cut it down to 2 to 3 times a week because it's not serving the goals that I actually have. So these are tough decisions that I've had to make, and every day I struggle with them, and every day they are tough. But I want to just go through some of the signs. Like that's the other thing I wanted to say. I'm not a particularly smart person. First one to admit it. I've got no problem with it. I'm not a particularly smart and a book smart person. I have my limits. I'm a street smart person. I've got my hustle down and I know what I'm doing there. But from a book's perspective, I'm not particularly smart. So why the hell would you listen to me? You listen to me because what I've done with these sorts of things is I've actually done a little bit of research. And it turns out that everything that I'm going to say today and everything that I've kind of been saying over the last year or so, it's all backed up by science anyway. So I want to make sure that everything that I kind of say, I've got research and I've got some papers that I'll share in the descriptions down below as we go through this and after the podcast. So you can go through and look at the studies and the research yourself and actually see what these people are saying, because it's backed by science, and it's quite unbelievable that you can naturally just happen upon these answers on your own. As a human being, we tend to gravitate towards what's good for us. So if you have a hunch about doing something and you're not sure if it's the right thing to do, if your hunch is telling you to do it, generally, I learned this from Mel Robbins, follow your hunch, because we as humans tend to like to do what's good for us. Unless that hunch is taking a lot of drugs and sleeping with a lot of people, that's not a good hunch. So don't just take my word for it, believe in some of the science. I'm just the messenger. I'm literally just like, I've looked this up and I've gone, wow, that's actually so incredible that that's what I've been saying to people, but actually it's backed up by science. Let me put this in. The first one, obviously, that I want to talk about is discomfort. So yeah, as I said, the first one that I want to talk about is discomfort. Um, I've been telling people to get comfortable with the uncomfortable for a year, year and a half. And I've been like, for some reason, getting uncomfortable, making yourself uncomfortable, deliberately waking up and going, right, I've got to do that today, and it's going to make me super uncomfortable. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. There's no question about it. I need to do it. It's actually comes with benefits. It actually physiologically gives us benefits. Um, not just because it's hard, but because it actually physiologically makes us better. Discomfort actually being a catalyst for growth. So there's actually research that supports the idea that comfort can actually be a catalyst for growth. When we put ourselves into stressful situations, it enables us in gains in speed. I'll put this research down below. Enables us in gains in speed, strength, and endurance. Mental and emotional gains are similar. So when we actually make ourselves uncomfortable, and I know the whole idea of, or the whole thought of being uncomfortable, it's kind of like touching fire. Like, why would you do that? It's a silly thing to do. Keep in your comfort zone, and that's where you should be. But we're actually doing ourselves a disservice if we don't make ourselves uncomfortable. There's actually a great study as well. When we're told to purposefully seek discomfort, um, people who are told to actually do that, this study basically found that when they purposefully told people to go and seek discomfort, the people were more engaged with the activities and also perceived greater improvements. So it actually, for me, what I've done, and when I've done the same thing and perceived these improvements in myself, the reason is because I didn't know I could do it. So when I did try to do it and I could do it, I was like, whoa, you don't know what you can do until you try. But often that trying puts us into an uncomfortable situation, so we avoid it. Stop avoiding discomfort, start embracing it. On this, though, this maybe is not backed by science. I didn't look into this, but for me, discomfort gives us a sense of pride. When we do something that's uncomfortable and we come out the other side okay and we don't die, we walk away going, geez, man, I'm actually proud of myself. I did really well there. That's actually pretty cool. Perfect example is cold plunging. Whenever I'm cold plunging with new people who haven't done it before or who have not done it in a long while, in the water, I'll say to them, and we've been doing a lot of swims more than the ice baths, so we're in the water together these days. I'll say to them while they're in the water, I'll be like, we get in, and like those first 30 seconds, 45 seconds, and I'll look at them and I'll be like, are you feeling proud of yourself? Most of the time, the answer is the same. They're like, no, I'm not feeling proud of myself. I hate this. This is shit, and I feel terrible, and it's horrible. I'm like, yeah, I know. Finish the cold plunge, get out. 30 seconds after they're out, I turn to them and I say the same question. I say, are you feeling proud of yourself? And always the answer is the same. Yeah, dude, I'm so proud of myself. Because it's over. I put myself into a horrible, terrible, dangerous, cold, uncomfortable situation. And now that I'm through it, now that I'm out the other side, I'm proud of myself. And we have that feeling as well when we do things like, I'll use like smoking. You give up smoking for a day. Okay, so you say, hey, I want to give up smoking. So you turn around and go, I'm not going to smoke tomorrow. So the whole day goes by and you don't smoke. Deep down inside, there's a feeling of pride within you. And you go, hey, man, I'm actually proud of myself. I did really well. I'm going to go to that party. I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to touch a single thing. And you go and you come out the other side, 11, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning comes, and you're leaving sober, and you go, geez, I'm actually proud of myself. And I think that pride, this concept of telling people that you're proud of them, or somebody telling us that they're proud of us, doesn't happen to us as adults. Think about it. When was the last time somebody told you that they're proud of you? When was the last time someone turned around and said, hey, dude, I'm proud of you, you did well? It doesn't happen to us as adults. And it's quite sad because we as adults walk around a lot of the time looking at friends, family, colleagues, workers, whatever it is, going, geez, I'm actually quite proud of that person, but we don't tell them. Why don't we tell them? Somebody's done something, we tell the kids, which is great. We tell Latis, hey man, you did well, I'm proud of you. You ran that race really well. You got an A in class, well done, I'm proud of you. We don't tell adults. So your homework of this podcast is to go find someone and tell them that you're proud of them. Not for a shitty reason, don't make up a reason, but when you see someone who's done something good, tell them how proud you are. Look at the reaction that you get from an adult. It's unbelievable. So that concept of putting ourselves into an uncomfortable situation and telling somebody that we're proud of them, or coming out the other side and telling ourselves that we're proud of ourselves. Go give up smoking, go give up drinking, go give up bread for a week. And then look at yourself critically and say, man, are you proud of yourself? Did you do well? Yeah, you did really well. Well done. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of myself. Pride, man. It's an interesting thing. The second one, doing things in teams, right? I know that I spoke about this. I'm not even going to go into, and I'm not even going to unpack this. This is such common sense. Get help. Stop being afraid of admitting that you don't know how to do something. Stop being afraid of admitting you need help. Go do things in teams. And what we're sacrificing when we do this, we've all been there. We've all come out of a situation, be it a business situation, we left a job, we finished a project, whatever it is, we've all come out of a situation and gone, oh, I'm going to go off and be so successful. And then one day I'm going to come rub it in that guy's face or in that girl's face. And I'm going to say how good I am and like how they were wrong to dismiss me now. And then 3 years later, I'm going to come back and show them how well I've done. We've all been there. What you're actually doing is you're saying, I'm going to do this all by myself. I'm going to prove it. What you're doing is you're isolating yourself and you're not doing it in a team. You're not opening yourself up to say, hey, I need help with this. I do want to shove it in that person's face. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think that if that's a motivator, if that's a driver for you, if that's what's going to get you to achieve your goals, knowing that you want to go back and throw it in your ex-boss's face or your ex-partner's face or whatever it is what's driving you to get out of bed in the morning and go and achieve your goals, then great. Whatever you need. But don't do it alone. Unbelievable book that I read at the beginning of middle of last year called Who Not How. Very, very simple concept. This is where I really dove into this idea of doing things in teams. Is Who Not How, very simple concept. I'm not going to obviously I can't give too much of the book away. As I said, I'm not a smart person, so I don't remember most of it, but I remember the gist of it. The gist of the book is I highly encourage you to read this book because it's super, super powerful for buying back your own time. If you're a CEO, if you're an owner of a business, if you're even if you're an employee, what are you doing in your life where somebody else could be doing it for you? The concept of the book is very simple. As we're brought up in the Western world in school, we're taught when a problem comes along, we ask the question, how do I solve this problem? It's the wrong question to be asking. What we should be asking is, who do I know can solve this problem for me? Now, as a founder, CEO, owner of a business, whatever you want, if you've been in that position where you've got people supporting there, then you're probably familiar with that. You might not be good at delegation, but do appreciate that the best of the best in the world, the best owners, the best CEOs, the best founders in the world are excellent at delegation. That's kind of what it is. It's turning around and saying, I'm just going to stop trying to solve every problem by myself. I'm going to get people around me who can solve the problems for me. I'm going to just push those problems to them. Why? Because they're better at solving those specific problems. They are better at it than me. Why would I try and do it myself? The problem with a lot of business owners and founders is they are very good and they're used to the competency trap. They're used to doing things themselves. They're used to getting it done the way that they like doing it. So they don't ever delegate to anybody else because they're scared that it won't get done the way that they like to get it done. The minute they delegate to someone else, the outcome gets achieved, the project gets completed and everything gets done. Maybe not the way that they would have done it, but the project gets done. What they've done is they've bought back a lot of their time. So we don't do things in teams and we tend to try and do everything on our own like lone wolves. And it doesn't work for us. So we need to sacrifice that concept of doing everything on our own. The other one that I wanted to talk about, obviously, is it's a very cool scientific, and as I said, here comes the science, and it's not me. This is just pure science. I'm just delivering it to you. It's a concept called hormesis, or a phenomenon called hormesis. So the concept of hormesis is very, 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 very simple. When we expose ourselves to low doses of stress or toxin, we can actually induce a benefit or a stimulatory effect on cells, organisms, or our cells. Whereas if we do too much of that stress, we can actually create problems. So a better definition here is, I'll just read this out exactly, is the administration of small doses of stress, which in high doses would be very harmful to a specific life form, can stimulate physiological processes that are beneficial in the long run. This is why cold plunging is so good, and this is why ice baths are so good, and this is why exposing yourself to uncomfortable situations is so good, is because when you do it in small doses, you actually are making yourself physiologically better. Physiologically, your body is getting better. Your mind, don't even get me started what it's doing for your mind, but your body, it's actually affecting your hormones, and it's affecting your body when you do this. Expose yourself to discomfort, expose yourself to stress, expose yourself to toxin in small doses, and actually making yourself better. Obviously, not high doses, that's bad for you, but small doses. This study that I'm referring to actually talks about the growth zone. So we all know about what the comfort zone is. I'm in my comfort zone. I'm in my comfort zone. I'm scared. I'm scared. It fears me. It gives me fear to talk about myself being in a comfort zone, because if I'm in a comfort zone these days, I feel like I'm stuck. I feel like I'm not performing to my highest potential. Um, when we expose ourselves to these stresses, we enter something called the fear zone. And this is when we take on challenges and we expose ourselves to things that make us uncomfortable, and expose ourselves to stresses, to toxins, whatever it is. We put ourselves in this comfort zone. Maybe it's something stupid like being in a nightclub and going, dude, I've been to the same nightclub for the last 3 years. I keep coming here and I see girls that I want to talk to, and I never, ever go up to talk to anybody. I just stand in the corner and like eye the girl and like never. Maybe it's that. Today, I'm going to go just talk to a girl. I'm just going to expose myself to something. I'm going out of my comfort zone and into my fear zone. Off you go, come back. You come back and you start entering what we call the growth zone, where you can actually start growing as a human. Maybe you're running your own business. I know I've got a partner, a client who I coach in her business, and we were doing a session. And I was saying to her, listen, you're in a sales, your business is in a sales state. You need to enter a sales state for your business. You've got product, you've got services, you've got everything, you've got an inventory. You don't need to build more products. You've got them. What you need to do is you need to find people to buy them. And immediately, and I said to her, right, one of the easiest ways to do this is just get on the phone, pick up the phone, cold call. Just cold call. You could just see her whole physiologically, her whole body like crunch up. No, I can't do that. I tried that. It didn't work. And a million different excuses. And I said to her, dude, just do one. Just do one. Put yourself in that situation where you feel uncomfortable, and you expose yourself to that stress. What you're doing is you're entering this state of hormesis, where you're going from this comfort zone. The comfort zone is sitting back going, oh no, the business will come. I don't know where, but I'll get referrals, and you're putting yourself into this danger zone, into this fear zone, where you're going, hey, I'm going to pick up the phone. I don't know who I'm calling. I'm just pick up the phone. I'm going to have an uncomfortable conversation. Finally got her to start doing it. And slowly, after the last couple of weeks, she started to get more and more comfortable with it, and she started to bring in business from it. And she can't believe that she's bringing business. And I said to her, it's just about exposing yourself to it, putting yourself into that state where you actually try. Sometimes that's all it is. It's just a try. For the concept of quitting, if it's something that you need to sacrifice in the world of like drugs or alcohol or whatever it is, we're in the comfort zone. I mean, anybody who's done drugs or drunk alcohol or whatever will tell you that there's something comfortable about that first drink and the way it makes you feel, and it takes the edge off. Entering a comfort zone. What's harder is saying no. But harder is saying, no, I'm actually not going to do that tonight. So you enter this fear zone and your body starts going, where's my comfort? Where's my drink? I'm feeling a little bit, and you start getting a little bit antsy. But you start entering a growth zone where you start going, dude, I've got control over this. I'm actually not going to do this anymore. I'm going to enter the zone where I can go into the state of hormesis, where I can actually expose myself to discomfort, to challenge, to toxin. The toxin is not putting in the poison into my body, not taking the drug, not smoking the joint, not smoking the nicotine, whatever it is. You're putting yourself into a state where you can actually grow and come out the other side stronger. The last one that I wanted to talk about, which is quite interesting, I think, is ADHD. So I don't think I can think of a single person, and myself included, and you included as well, who in the last year that I've spoken to hasn't agreed with me when I've said, hey, I I think I've got ADHD. And they go, oh, I think I've also got ADHD. I think we all have ADHD. I think COVID is a big culprit of this. I think COVID screwed us up all psychologically, the whole entire population of the earth. I think it did very big disservice to us, but I think it's given us all a pretty much worse case of ADHD than we would have had if we didn't have COVID. And of course, some of it's not diagnosed. I'm sure you all know the DSM-5 classification of a mental disorder is it needs to actually impact your life. It actually needs to practically impact your life. Unable to work, unable to have relationships. Most of us are able to do that stuff. So it's not clinical ADHD, but I definitely think we all have an element of ADHD. And boohoo, cry for us. Why is it so important? Why is ADHD so important though in the sacrifices? Because I feel like the ADHD allows us to keep on holding on to things that we shouldn't hold on to because it's comfortable, because it keeps us there in that state where we feel like we need to be staying where we shouldn't be. And I think that the biggest culprit of this is phones, telephones, cell phones, particularly notifications. One of the biggest changes that I ever made to my life, this was 3 or 4 years back. This comes from my previous business where I was working with a partner who would wake up in Australia ahead of me, and I would wake up whether I was in South Africa or Los Angeles, I would wake up with just an absolute barrage of WhatsApp messages. Most of the time, negative, bitching and moaning, complaining about this guy, complaining about this, I didn't do this right, or that's fallen apart, or this team's not doing that. And the PTSD that I suffered, a legitimate PTSD that I suffered after that relationship, after that partnership was over, was pretty bad. Even while it was going on, I was really suffering PTSD. I didn't sleep at night. I had huge anxiety, like a whole bunch of stuff. Again, boohoo, cry for me. But particularly phones, the minute that I turned off my notifications on my phone, and I said, you know what, I'm actually not going to deal with this. I need to turn off notifications. My phone sits on silent these days. It's made the absolute world of difference. And nowadays, it's a few years later, nowadays, if there ever comes a time where I turn my phone onto volume up and the phone beeps, the anxiety, the instantaneous anxiety that if I hear a WhatsApp message come through on my phone, the instantaneous anxiety, it completely stops what I'm doing and it freaks me out. And the only thing that matters to me is turning that notification off and stopping it and making sure that it's on silence again. Because I'm so not used to notifications now because of turning it off. A few years down the line, when I do hear a notification, dude, I can be sitting in a meeting with somebody. This happened the other day. I was sitting in a meeting. Somebody at the table was, their phone beeped. WhatsApp message. And it just set me off. I freaked out. I was like, oh my God, just the anxiety it just gave me in such a short period of time, like immediately. It's unbelievable. The minute we turn off our notifications, what are we doing with our phones? What the hell are we doing with our phones? We're allowing this thing to come into our world, which brings everything. There is not a single thing on this planet that a phone can't bring into your life. What you're doing is you're swamping and you're overflowing and you're drowning your ability to focus. It completely destroys our ability to focus. We just become a victim of whatever our phone brings to us. Oh, Uber Eats wants to send us a notification. I better look at it. Oh, the bank just wants to know, can I clarify this? I better look at it. But the minute we take back that power and we sacrifice that notification, that slavery that we have, it is slavery. I've never used that word to describe phone, but we're slaves to our phones. The minute that we give that up and we say, hey, I'm not your slave anymore, bro. This is my life and you work for me. Stop working for your phone. Let your phone work for you. This is why we need to leave some things behind. This is why we need to actually turn around and go, if you have 3 businesses in your life and your phone is beeping about 3 businesses, you're completely just spraying your attention, you're dividing your attention, you're putting too little butter onto too big a piece of bread. Whereas the minute you turn around and go, you know, 3 businesses is too much, none of them are doing well. Let me actually just focus on one. The minute you do that, all of a sudden your phone stops beeping for 2 businesses and you're able to focus on only one business. And all of a sudden you're going, dude, I can actually do this. This is why I don't begrudge side hustles. I think side hustles are super important. But if you're going to side hustle, then you should be side hustling with a vision to go full time into that. A lot of people just side hustle and go, oh, I'll make a couple of grand and it's like, bro, you should be focusing on setting a goal to get out of your full time job and into the side hustle full time. Because if you're doing a side hustle, it's because you love it. You got a web design agency, or you do interior decorating, or you design posters for people, whatever it is, or you sewing sheets, I don't know, whatever your side hustle is. But if you're doing it on the side and it's important enough for you to find that time to focus on it, then it's probably something you're passionate about and something you love. You're going to be the best in the world at that. You've got no chance of being the best in the world at your job if you're willing to side hustle on it. So all this to rant about phone notifications. I hate them. Fucking hate them. In my own journey, how have I figured this out? Like, what have I done? I found that when we have too many things to focus on, and I'm still, by the way, I haven't figured it out yet. I'm still sacrificing things. I'm still figuring how to do this, get rid of this business, or get rid of that engagement. Stop doing this, stop doing that, because it just pulls away attention from everything else. I found that I just wasn't getting anything done. And for many years, what ended up happening was I would call it procrastination. I'd say, oh, I'm just a procrastinator. I'm just a procrastinator. And I realized, yeah, I was a bit of a procrastinator, but actually the reason I wasn't getting shit done was because I just didn't have the time or the focus to do it. One of the things that I really had to start doing was completing each task as I was working on it and making an absolute deliberate point to finish the task. Because I would find myself going, I'm in the middle of a task. Oh, let me just check this over here. Let me go get that. Oh, I need to make some tea. If I just sat down and said, right, you're here for the next 7 minutes, finish this task, and then you can go make tea. Like, you call it procrastination, but it's not procrastination. It's just having too much stuff, too many balls in the air, so we never get anything done. In a way, like when we talk about it, I was saying I liken it to our resources being finite. Here comes a flippin' nerdy analogy for you guys. Computers have RAM. For those who don't know what RAM is, it's memory on a computer. And we have 4 gigs of RAM or 8 gigs of RAM, whatever. What we're doing to our brains is our brains have, let's call it 8 gigs of RAM. Some brains have 32 gigs. Mine is 4 at the best of days. What we're doing is we're asking those 4 gigs of RAM when we have too many things going on and too much that we haven't sacrificed and we haven't pushed away from ourselves and we haven't walked away from. We're asking 4 gigs of RAM to do all of that work with 4 gigs. But the brain is saying, hey, dude, I need 8 at least, or 16. You go, no, I'm not letting this go. This is important to me. I'm going to stick with it, even though it's not really important to you. It's a game of soccer that you actually shouldn't be playing, or it's taking on a conversation with somebody that you shouldn't be talking to because you actually can't help them and you're the wrong person to talk to. Whatever it is, but you're asking your brain, we're splitting our focus all over the place. Whereas when you see the best people and the people who are the best in the world at what they do, they are the best at what they do in one thing. They focus on that one thing. And I'm still working towards focusing on that one thing. I'm not there yet. I'm still working towards focusing on that. Why I want to be the best in the world at. I'm working towards it. It doesn't come overnight, but I'm flipping headstrong and I'm determined that that's what I'm going to be. So you see some of the best CEOs or the best people in the world. They work for one business. They are the best in the world at manufacturing, or the best in the world at wholesale, or the best in the world at creativity, whatever it is. That's what they do. They don't have a bunch of side hustles. They don't try and do too many things. They focus all of their RAM in one place, and that's what they do. There's also a beautiful, when we do this, we actually got something called cognitive load theory. When we actually try to give our brain too much to do, we give what we call cognitive load theory, where we make it harder for the brain to determine what to actually focus on. Because we're trying to tell our brain, hey, focus on everything. And the brain's going, dude, just a brain with 4 gigs. And well, I'm the one with 4 gigs. You guys might have 8. But we're asking it too much cognitive load. We're overloading the brain and we're saying, hey, trying too hard to do stuff. We need to give it a bit of a break. And obviously, at the end of the day, this affects our outcomes. At the end of the day, when we put our head on the pillow, we go, geez, I actually haven't increased my business's revenue. I haven't actually, my relationship with my girlfriend's not actually any better because I was meant to take her out for dinner, but then I did this. So now it's actually, so like, and all you've done is you've just spread too little butter on too much bread. And it's just not fair on your brain. This is the last thing that I want to share. It's an unbelievable thing. Like when we take on too much and we overdo ourselves and we think about too much, we take on too much for the brain. This lady named Sophie Lira, she did an unbelievable study. So she did the study, and she talks about attention residue. Um, how cool is this? This is just unbelievable. So she talks about, she says, when we switch from task A to task B, there are residual thoughts or unfinished mental loops from task A that linger around as we move into task B. And her study actually shows that it can take 15 to 20 minutes to fully recover focus from task A to task B when you're switching tasks. And this talks about productivity. So the impact on productivity, by the way, what number do you think? 40%. It can impact our productivity by 40%. When we jump from task A to task B, we actually take a bunch of unfinished mental thoughts and loops with us to task B. All right? That's okay. That's life. We need to do that. But it takes 15 to 20 minutes before we actually recover all of that, right? And actually get onto task B and like forget about it. But now if we've got task A to still think about and we haven't completely finished it and we keep jumping back to task B, or even worse, we jump to task C and then to task D. We've got business A, business B, business like, or we've got some people have relationship A, relationship B, relationship C. I don't know how you do it. Good luck to you. Not advised. But we have multiple relationships, or we have multiple businesses, whatever it is. Imagine you're running and you're taking all of these unfinished mental loops that are each taking 15 to 20 minutes to recover. And then you jump back and then bro, you're asking way too much from yourself. So it becomes something that we have to actually like, and like, this is the scary part. Task A, let's say task A is sit down and put together a proposal for that client. Or let's say task A is go out for dinner with my girlfriend or boyfriend. Great, so I'm sitting at dinner, and then your phone goes off. You're doing this proposal for somebody and you're working on it hard, and a notification comes through. You've just moved to task B. Like, that's as simple as it is. Now look at your phone and go, oh, okay, cool. You've taken a whole bunch of unfinished loops and thoughts over to this task, and you're going, all right, cool, let me focus over here. All right, cool, let me go back to this. Now you've left a whole bunch of unfinished stuff over here. What happens if somebody walks through the door and says, hey, dude, we're going to the shops. Do you want anything? Like, all of a sudden, you've got another task on the go. We're just asking way too much of ourselves. So really, really take into consideration and really, really be critical about what you need to keep in your life and what can you actually sacrifice. What is serving you and what is serving your ultimate goal? This is why sitting down and actually deciding, what do you want from your life? What do you actually want to achieve? What is the main goal you want to achieve? Is it financial freedom? Is it having a family? Is it buying a fancy car? What is the main goal? And are any of the things that you're currently getting distracted by in your life serving that main goal? And what is not, get rid of it. I know it's way easier to say this than it is to do this. And as with everything I kind of shared in this platform that I'm loving doing, I'm only speaking from personal experience here. Like, I've gone ahead and I've tried this all myself, and it's flipping hard. But I'm telling you that it's doable, and I'm telling you that it'll serve you, it'll make you better. So hopefully you've found something in this podcast today that you can take out and you can actually appreciate and move forward with. Hopefully you also like this, because I really enjoyed putting this together, doing this research, recognizing what's actually in it, and realizing that this is stuff that's scientific. It's not just me, the idiot, going, oh, bro, you know what you should do this, you should do this. No, it's backed by science. This is actually factual. If you try and do this, it will make you better. Don't take my word for it. Please don't take my word for it. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm just sharing with you what much smarter people and scientists have done. So hopefully you found something valuable here. Remember, your homework is to go find someone and tell them that you're proud of them for a good reason, not a frivolous, I'm proud of you. Go tell someone you're proud of them and go see their reaction. Because I think as an adult, you'll be shocked. You'll be shocked when you see the reaction you get from somebody, an adult, that's when you tell them that you're proud of them. We need to be nicer to each other. We need to recognize when people are doing good things and doing things right. Catch them doing things right. Tell them, and you will get better things out of people. Multiply people. Don't diminish them. I love you guys. That's all I have to say. Goodbye.